MMA fighters normally keep themselves in shape where they are quickly able to make weight for an upcoming fight. There are some fighters who have gained weight where there's a big difference in their physiques. So here is 5 MMA fighters who got fat. Number 5. St Pierre was once the long-reigning UFC welterweight champion who had cleared out the division. After his fight with Johnny Hendricks at UFC 167, he vacated his title and walked away from the sport. Just recently, he announced his comeback where he would challenge current UFC middleweight champion Michael Bisping at a later date. In his preparation for the bout, he started putting on weight, where an image was leaked out of him with a fully blown beer belly. He later said that he was disgusted seeing the image and had no idea where it came from. Number 4. Rampage Jackson was once the UFC light heavyweight champion who was competing with the best fighters in the world. Since moving back to Bellator in 2016, he had trouble making the light heavyweight limit and has made the permanent move to heavyweight where he doesn't need to drain himself. As you guys can see in this comparison, there's a huge difference in his physique. At heavyweight, he defeated Satoshi Ishii by a split decision at Bellator 157 and lost to Mohamed Lawal by a unanimous decision at Bellator 175. Number 3. Matt Serra shocked the world when he knocked out St Pierre at UFC 69 to become the new UFC welterweight champion of the world. He would next lose his title to GSP in a rematch at UFC 83, and a few fights later, he retired from active competition. He would next move on to coaching the next generation of fighters, where it is obvious that he's not in fight shape anymore. He hasn't let himself go too much, but has put on a lot of weight since retiring. Number 2. Carlos Newton was once one of the best welterweights on the planet, where he had captured the UFC welterweight title. In 2004, Carlos Newton left the UFC and fought all across the world, where he announced his retirement from the sport in 2010. He now coaches at his home gym, where he has put on a considerable amount of weight since walking away from fighting. Here is a comparison of both bodies. Number 1. Sylvia was once a multiple-time UFC heavyweight champion who had defeated majority of the top heavyweights at that time. After losing to Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira at UFC 81, he left the UFC and fought in various other different promotions. He would later put on a lot of weight, where he would fight at super heavyweight and had some great fights. He announced his retirement from the sport after losing to Ruslan Magomedov at Fight Night's Battle of Moscow 13 in 2013. Since retiring, he has put on a lot of weight, and here is a comparison of both bodies.